I'll tell you what's really difficult, Jay. Having a day off work and doing nothing but sitting here listening to music. But I'm glad that we can have this opportunity to sit back and relax because yet again, for the second week in a row, something has come up. And because of New York Comic Con, we do not have a live show to discuss this week. So we're actually just going to answer the remaining Q&A that we had from last week. And we might talk about some of the SK Plus podcast stuff, but that's pretty much what this episode is going to be.
I'm sick of Q&As. Sick of doing them. I don't want to answer questions.
Who are you, Kristian Harloff? You boxed me out.
Sorry. I don't know what to say. I mean, people have these questions like, hey, what's a podcast? And it's just...
This is clearly an example of Jaye Williams not at all listening to what I said. You didn't take the bait on that.
I didn't take the bait on it. How do you feel? How do you feel about this whole New York Comic Con experience? I've never experienced a New York Comic Con. I didn't even know there was a Comic Con in New York.
How dare you?
That's not true. There's a Comic Con in Lexington, Kentucky.
It's far. Well, of course there is.
Have you ever been?
There's a Comic Con everywhere. No, I'm not going. The one in Lexington is just for the Beetleborgs and the Power Rangers. It's not anybody. What up in Rhode Island? Who is it up there that they got? Mark Ruffalo and somebody else. I think Kevin Marks posted about it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They posted about it in the Sight and Sound Facebook.
VR Troopers?
What's VR Troopers?
It was a knockoff Power Rangers. There were only 3 of them.
So anyway, yeah, I obviously know there was a live show, but it was a surprise because I think I got a message. I didn't even know. I got a message at like 8:30, like, oh shit, they are going live tonight.
It was Luke Jaggers. He's the one that told
I didn't
us.
realize that they were gonna do that, which is totally fine. I didn't end up watching it till today.
Didn't they say last week that it was going to be pre-taped?
Yeah. Or they said the week before that the next 2 shows were going to be pre-taped. Yeah. Yeah. Last week we gave Kristian our best when it came to him and his newborn baby girl, but I forgot to give Macuga some well wishes for his wedding, and I know people might be reading too much into that, but I think that it was just an honest mistake. But I do hope, and I think now seeing all the posts and everything from last weekend, I think everybody had a great time. They talked a little bit about it on the live show, but just wanted to say hope Macuga is, I don't know, what do you say, living high? I hope that his dreams are soaring with the eagle's nest.
I don't like birds, but yeah, whatever you need to be doing.
Very good.
Yeah.
Welcome to After Schmoe, the after show that only does as well as the Schmoes Know live show on the SK Plus YouTube channel. My name is Ryan Snelling.
My name is Jaye Williams. It was supposed to be my day off today, but I'm here because we got called in unexpectedly.
Usually I never answer those calls. If I know it's my day off and I see the phone or the work is calling me on my phone, I usually just ignore it, pretend I'm asleep.
Yeah. I don't even have my work email on my phone. They told me we like switched email systems, and they were like, "Well, just so you know, it's optional." And I was like, "Okay, then I'm not getting it. I'm not putting it on my phone."
Switch to Hotmail?
No, I don't know. It's some system, and they were like, "Just so you know, if you put this on your phone, we have the ability to completely erase it if we want to." I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna put that on my phone." You can text me.
It's a ticking time bomb there.
No kidding.
You know which popular celebrity uses Hotmail on the reg?
Who's that?
Max Landis.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
He does it on purpose.
We should delete this immediately.
Delete your podcast.
Eric suggested that we delete a podcast recently. Remember that? I mean, I know people. Go to Sight and Sound. Check it out. It's hilarious.
Yeah. If you want to know who Eric is, check that out. And if you want to know what the hell we're talking about with
we have
Max
a lot
Landis,
of crossover. Look, if you're here, you probably like Sight and Sound, right? All 10,000.
Actually, I'm all in favor of talking about Sight and Sound a little bit because we're still on SK Plus and we haven't really talked about it that much. But I think that if we wanted to do like a Sight and Sound plug here, and we'll talk about SK Plus in general here in a minute, if we wanted to talk about Sight and Sound, I think a lot of people don't even know what the hell it is. Like they hear it's Sight and Sound, maybe they think that the only thing we do is that Monday show that goes out on SK Plus. But Sight and Sound is a movement, Jay.
Is it? It's a movement.
I'd like to think so. We just had our first.
I think so.
We just had our first birthday, and we went from, in the very beginning, it was one weekly show, and then it became your weekly music show, and then it became I do some movie stuff, and then we recap television, and we work with some amazing companies like TV Time and things like that.
We have after parties, which it seems like most people like.
Yeah.
Like that's their favorite.
Yeah, and you showed me a comment today that someone was like, yeah, I think that them talking about God knows what is actually better than them talking about what they want to talk about, which is fine. I like that stuff too, and that's what After Party is for. That's what that episode format is for. It's just a whole lot of nothing.
It's kind of, just to tie it into Schmoes, it's kind of how I relate. It used to be the Schmoes Know Movie Show, and they kind of dropped the movies so that they can be a little bit more free. They've sort of dug their heels in a little bit with the movie stuff, but, we withhold the option to just talk about whatever the hell we want every now and then.
I would say,
unlike here where we have a boss, Kristian Harloff, and he makes sure that we never talk about anything but Schmoes Know.
Do we have a boss though? I feel like I haven't talked to him. He there's no Kristian Harloff presence really on Collider or Schmoes right now.
Let me tell you what it's like doing After Schmoe.
Knowing no one's listening
today, knowing the fact that the show was run differently in past iterations. You used to get all this stuff from you. Oh, Kristian's telling me to do this. He's telling me to do that. Hey, man, that doesn't happen. He just lets us do whatever we want. We've talked about maybe implementing some sort of segment to where what can we say for Kristian to be like, you need to delete this immediately.
Yeah. It's like when kids like lash out just to see what will happen. See if they can get their parents all riled up. I think that's what we do now because.
Do you know what I did?
It's mainly because Kristian has just given up on this show.
I did. Yeah, I did that one time. I did something just to see how in trouble I would get. My parents had a waterbed, and I went over to it and I stuck like a pin in it, like a little needle. Mm-hmm. That's a very expensive thing to do.
That's a pretty severe thing to test your consequences.
Yeah.
I'm talking
about.
My
dad woke up, he thought he pissed his pants because he was covered in liquid.
Yeah. Or maybe he actually did piss his pants.
Maybe he did.
I was the examples I was
he tasted it. He said, "No, I'm just kidding. He didn't do that."
The examples I was thinking of were just like turning the radio up and down in the car on the way, Turn it down, they turn it down, you turn it back up to show your dominance, and then you get slapped in the face.
No one but me touches the radio in the car. And when I'm driving. If somebody else is driving, that's different. I respect. Yeah.
I remember feeling self-conscious trying to get my dad to listen to my music in his car because I didn't want to listen to anything he wanted to listen to. And if it was, I could have played Linkin Park and he would have been like, oh, God. But, we're talking about the most successful rock band of this era. But anyway.
Every time I go to the pool, my parents' pool, all my dad listens to is reggae. Nobody in my family but him likes reggae.
Is liberal.
Likes reggae. It just doesn't exist. But I'll tell you what, it does set the mood.
I think that's what we can kind of say. The fact that Kristian Harloff is not on Collider and Schmoes right now, it's like a more relaxed vibe, like your dad gets when he listens to reggae.
Exactly. 100%.
We have nothing to worry about. We can just do whatever the hell we want, even more so than usual.
Kristian Harloff is like my dad.
We can talk about reggae on After Schmoe, and there will be zero consequence. I checked out the meaning of, by the way. I realized.
Oh yeah.
I realized I wanted to check it out. The first episode I said I would, but they released the Denis Villeneuve podcasts, and I was like, well, I actually don't really respond, and I haven't even seen, and to be fair, I haven't seen a whole lot of Aronofsky. So I figured I know a lot about Villeneuve. I think that's the one I'm going to start with, and I listened to it. They're doing a great job with that.
It's
I'm very happy
amazing podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to a lot of stuff on SK Plus just to keep up with things, and some things aren't necessarily for me. Just personally, they're not. Like, I don't listen to a lot of Outlaw Nation. It's nothing against John Roca. I just don't listen to Outlaw Nation that much. I dip into top 10 from time to time, but man, the meaning of is for me. It really is for me. I'm waiting for them to get a little loose. Like, I'm waiting for, well, neither one of them drink right now, but I don't know. Can you do some drugs or something and let's get things a little bit wacky in here?
That's a weird backwards statement from you.
And
I really love this podcast, but it's time to crank it up a notch.
Absolutely. I'm also curious. Will they ever go outside of movies? Because we know they're both obviously very knowledgeable individuals when it comes to the technicalities of film and whatnot. But, I want to see them test the waters in other places. I know that they both enjoy hip hop quite a bit. I'd love to hear them talk about that.
Well, did you know that Ace was in a punk band?
I didn't know that. Where did that come from?
Yeah. I think that they could
apparently
do a lot of things with
apparently
that.
Ace likes Drake.
Does he?
Yeah, because when I think the first time I was on here, my first episode, I suggested people send me Drake memes, and he did.
Oh, that's right, he did. Yeah. Okay, very good. But anyway, I liked it a lot. So I think what impressed me the most was RB3, because I think there are times, and RB3's been on this show.
Did you watch the video or did you just listen to it?
I've seen the video from the first episode, but I listened to it today. And RB3's been a guest on this show, and part of the time I felt like he might have been a little nervous or uncomfortable, maybe stepped over his words a little bit. He was very well spoken, and I was just kind of surprised about that. But I'm not saying at all that he's not knowledgeable, because I've known for a long time he's very knowledgeable and a whole lot smarter than me about this kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought that they complemented each other so well, and they've got a great show, and they're doing their thing. They're not trying to be anybody else, and it's really good. So shout out to those guys. Check out the Meaning Of podcast.
Did you check out Beardo this week?
No.
So
did he have his lady friend on?
So Beardo is on video, and yes, he did have his lady friend, and he did a Q&A as well. Everybody's doing Q&As. The Rundown's doing Q&As. We're doing Q&As. Beardo's doing Q&As. But it was a good episode. For an hour long, they didn't take that many questions. They talked a long time about a few of the questions, and he was very, very, pissed off. He was very pissed off.
Was he pissed?
About the fact, how dare you, people ask me stupid questions. Like, there was like a fuck, kill, marry, and he was like, that's a trash question. And it's like, come on, man. Just have some fun.
Why was he doing that?
I don't know why he was doing it. But
maybe that right there is exactly why they never go to him for opinions on the live show. Because he just changes it.
The other thing he did was he also confirmed that he had a hard time doing some solo podcast stuff. That, from time to time he'll struggle with guests, and he tried to record like some more solo stuff by himself, obviously. And he was just talking about how much of a struggle that was, and we've talked about that before. It is an odd thing, it's a strange thing, and it takes I'll give him the same advice I've given other people. It takes practice. It takes getting into a rhythm. It is weird. You're talking to your wall. Maybe get a dog or something like that. You can talk to them.
Go buy a dog.
Sometimes I've put a picture of you up on my computer screen. I'll just talk to that. And you'll be just fine.
I think buying a hermit crab might be a little cheaper.
Ugh, those things are fucking gross.
Yeah.
They are disgusting creatures.
They are.
My mom, we got 2 hermit crabs one time, and my mom didn't want them in the house. So we left them outside.
Did they fry?
In the sun.
Oh my God.
I went out one day and I was like, Mom, one's dead. And she was like, huh, well, hopefully the other one doesn't die.
She did it on purpose.
Literally died the next day.
She did that on purpose, knowing that.
They're well, not hermit crabs aren't delicious, but snow crab is delicious. Crabs are just the spiders of the sea. And I hate spiders. Disgusting creatures.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. You texted me about one of the questions that Beardo got about podcasting. I think it's funny that, like, we don't get questions about podcasting, do we? Have we got that many?
Sometimes, now and then, we'll get, like, some technical questions. More than anything, we get, like, tweets from people sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what equipment should we buy?
I think it's funny how Beardo is the podcast guru. And he's the guy.
He went to sound school. He did. That's what he said.
So, go ahead and tell me, reiterate what you had told me previously.
I mean, I'm not trying to, whatever. But he got a question about, hey, where to start with podcasting and like software and whatnot. And for whatever reason, his go-to answer was Pro Tools. For those that don't know, Pro Tools is like the top recording software that most people use to record the biggest albums ever.
Pro Tools records my band's music.
First of all, there is free software out there called Audacity that anybody can use that would work just fine. In fact, also GarageBand works just fine. Also, if you didn't want to do that and you just wanted to try out podcasting, you could just record on your phone. Like, is it going to be great? No, but everybody's got to start somewhere. But Pro Tools? We're going to talk about Pro Tools?
I got free software.
What?
I got free software with the equipment that I bought.
It works
I didn't have to buy it.
Pro Tools? My God. I don't even know how to use Pro Tools. I make music.
There's also Adobe Audition. You could have suggested that because that comes with your Adobe subscription if you have Photoshop and Premiere and all that. So
or Logic. I mean, that's the other thing too. There are some people who are like, "Well, I want to upgrade to the next level of GarageBand," and Logic is the upgrade. It's the professional version of GarageBand, and a lot of people record albums on Logic.
Yeah, so I just had to throw Beardo under the bus, and that was mainly because I want to become the podcast gurus for Schmoeville. I was just trying to take that away from him.
That's the other thing too that was fascinating about that. They would spend a long time on certain questions they would get. That was probably the shortest question, but that's like the thing that he's invested in. So.
I heard I heard the clip in the middle of the show, which was him talking about steak being good enough or bad enough to deserve steak sauce. Yeah. And that is going back to my friend Eric, who you referenced, that is an Eric Mulder take that he has had for years. And so I think that...
I mean, I get it, but
I get it.
Their discussion was he only eats burgers with burger and cheese and bread. Like, he doesn't like anything else on it at all. And he's like, I want to taste the meat. And, like, I get that, but you can't really compare burgers and steak. Just because they're both cow doesn't mean anything.
Okay, Beardo got enough punishment from Ken this week. So
That's right.
Usually, and you brought up top 10, usually if I'm going to squeeze in a Schmoes Know podcast, I usually go straight to top 10. But there are so many other shows on the network.
JT Movie Things.
Yeah, JT Movie Things. Schmoedown Rundown, the All Off podcast.
Frank Janish.
That's right.
We gotta congratulate him for getting his own segment on the show. I think
that's crazy.
I think that's great. Would love to get that on video. Not gonna lie, I'm sure Kristian has already asked. Hey, do you have a red camera that you can use or a 4K?
Do you have a Canon C100 like we have in the studio? Here?
No. Okay.
Yeah.
The still frame will do it. It's just like, and I'm sure Frank is like, I mean, I'd love to, but it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
He puts in a lot of work.
Kristian wanted us to do video, and it lasted, 2 weeks? Didn't take.
It can happen more. It can happen more, but it's,
Well, anything can happen as long as you believe.
Gotta get paid. Buy our shirts.
So anyway, is that it for? Have you been watching any of the singles tournament?
I have been. I have. I mean, I guess congratulations to JT. That was a crazy match. That was an absolutely insane match. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I say all the time that Kristian's reactions to things are my absolute favorite. What's funny was he had to announce the winner when it happened. He knew who won.
Yeah.
Right? He knew who he
at the
won
time.
once he answered the question. So we didn't get from him like, oh shit. But just him saying that JT won that match was priceless. It was absolutely priceless.
When does this whole new commissioner thing start?
I don't know.
Where did that go?
Did
they time that right?
I'm assuming once the tournament is done and they have to. I mean, I don't.
But he'll be back by that time.
Well, I guess maybe when they get back from Comic-Con, they're gonna have to start maybe filming some more Schmoedown stuff. I don't know, man.
One thing I did want to bring up.
Maybe it's an extended thing. Maybe it's extending past him. Being off on baby duty. Maybe he wants to put more focus into Schmoes. Maybe he wants to put more focus into developing SK Plus podcast.
I do want to say, on a serious note, I don't know how publicized. I'm sure it was very publicized, at least in the Trivia Schmoedown Facebook group. But something that I caught earlier this week is Jeff Snyder. Do you know about this?
No.
Jeff Snyder is moving back to the East Coast, and I guess he's from Boston. I have to assume that, at least in whatever. He's from New England.
The Northeast.
Yes. He's moving back to...
We could also just be completely wrong about that.
That's also true, but I genuinely believe that. He is moving back to take care of his mother who has fallen ill.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to say give him some love, and that I totally respect that. Man's got to do what he's got to do, and his presence will be missed. Even though he's a great heel and not someone that I root for, it's because of my appreciation for his villainy and tyranny.
Huge shoes to fill for his,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to go on a hiatus or maybe somebody will fill his shoes, but a huge match coming up. JT and Snyder.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
absolutely
massive.
It's gonna
and
be
exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
The speaking of mothers, Mama Sheridan.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk
love
about the movie Mother.
God love her.
For
she commented last week, responding to us, and said that she listens to our show regardless of if Brett is on the live show. And my first question is, why?
Right. Yeah.
But
we welcome you.
But I love this woman. I want her to adopt me.
She's a pod mom.
Brett's an only child, right? I would love to be Brett's brother. Brett's brother.
Brother Brett.
Brother Brett? Yeah. I would like that to happen. So if we can get that ball rolling, I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
He's like, what, almost 20 years your older or something like that?
Yeah, he's probably like, what, 14 years older than me? Something like that. Not much, but he's also like a lot.
He's like our friend Kevin with the baby brother.
I hate so much.
You got to be in on the jokes.
What Jay's doing here is he references a bunch of things that are on Sight and Sound, and his attitude is, well, you got to listen to Sight and Sound.
Right. It's called promotion.
I don't think it is promotion, but I don't think Sight and Sound should be the prerequisite for the After Schmoe. But anyway,
that's right. We wouldn't want our jokes to flourish.
Let's talk about Collider briefly. I don't have a whole lot. I mean, comic book shopping is still on hiatus, and I mean, I am having a lot of fun with this tournament. But we don't do that here. We're not After Schmoedown, no matter how much Roka wants us to be.
Yeah.
And I've seen Movie Talk a couple times, but I haven't been watching this week at all, and it's just kind of been a chaotic week for me. So
I have two notes that I really want to bring up. First of all, obviously, to lead off the week with the tragedy that happened in Las Vegas, Mark having to come on the air, man. I mean, I could tell he was very emotional about that. I'm sure many people were. I think how tough of a job that has to be. I mean, I used to think about it every time that that Campia would do it. Have to go on the air. I mean, they're a morning show, having to cover something like that and then switch the mood. It's got to be awkward. We're so far away from it well, not so far away from it happening, but we're further removed than Mark was. Just it's got to take some courage and some some guts to be able to do that. But from what he couldn't have said it more perfectly, that hopefully we can be an avenue and escape for people who are feeling pretty bummed out about the whole situation.
I think that Ellis is really great about handling that kind of stuff. Actually, I think kind of everyone there is. They all do that to some degree, and I think what they have going for them, though, what Ellis has going for him in that type of moment, is that I think everyone already had it on their mind that they were ready to watch Collider that day, and that they were already relying on Collider. So yes, absolutely, the well wishes, how he handled it was fantastic, but no one is going to make him apologize for needing to go on with a standard episode of Movie Talk, because that's what people want in this kind of climate that we're in right now. So yeah, but thoughts and prayers. Actually, someone that I went to elementary school with was actually in the Mandalay Bay.
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
I have
he's fine, but I was just saying he was there and witnessed it.
Yeah, I have two friends of mine that work at Mandalay Bay. They actually do a radio show and a podcast from there, and fortunately they're okay, but it was just tough, man. It was really, really tough. Yeah, but the rest of Movie Talk this week, obviously the Collider Studios was a little sparse with everybody gone. Ken holding it down as host. Let me just say this. We know that Ken Knapsack is a very talented individual.
Yes, we do.
I think one of the initial realizations of this was when he debuted his news segment and how great of a writer he was. And, he jokes around about the fact that the title of head writer was taken away from him. And he's more of like a producer role now. Obviously, he does the news for Collider. But, man, is he fucking good.
And he made this point on the live show. It's just so brilliant and amazing that the guy who is not there because he knows movies is the one that's able to carry all of this. It's nuts. He genuinely doesn't know, and he's not up to date on movies.
He's helping my case.
In any capacity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. He
legitimately
is paving the way for Jaye Williams
100%
to enter this space.
He's proving my worth to Kristian
He
and Mark Fernandez.
He's doing incredible things over there.
I don't know if he wants his own show. I don't know how he feels about doing the news on Collider and all of that. But, he's given a task. He shows up. He executes his job, and he executes it flawlessly. I would even say goes above and beyond how well he does.
Yeah.
As a host on air, and we'll get into the live show in just a bit. But, I mean, this guy I think has an even, as if we needed to tell anybody this, has an even brighter future on camera for Collider. I'm saying it here right now.
Then Macuga.
I think, Macuga's going to be a giant star from Travel Channel. But, that's serious.
I believe legitimate take, yes.
My Nostradamus predictions and theories, I think within the next 6 to 10 months, Ken Knapsack will be featured even more prevalently on air for Collider.
In a way, Inside Schmoedown is that, though.
Yeah, but I
know that's
Kristian's not going to like me saying this.
We don't respond to that show, and that's fine.
That wasn't what I was going to say. Is I think Ken does great on that show, absolutely, and I think he could do that show forever and ever. I have no problem with that, but I don't want that to be an excuse to not use him in other capacities.
Oh yeah. That doesn't have to be Ken's thing,
right?
Definitely, without question. Let's talk about Ken and Grace for a second. So this blew up it blow up our Twitter accounts and our Instagram
Why
DMs
are we the
whatever,
people?
Because we were talking about it.
No, I think it's hilarious because we're obviously the people that have this commentary about Collider and Schmoes. That people kept saying stuff like, was this confirmation? What do you think about this? And I'm just like, I don't know what you want me to say. This is Kristian Harloff's fault.
Here's the problem. The first problem is, as it stands right now, on the Friday that this episode goes out, I still don't have a concrete, definitive answer. And you know why? It's because I get nothing from these people. Hold on. From day one, when this podcast messed stuff up, and some things we'd get wrong and say out loud, and it would steer people in a different direction. And then people like Copster would get mad at us and say, look, it's not hard to just ask us a question. Actually, it really fucking is.
Well, now it is for sure.
And so now I just gave up. I'm just not gonna ask them anything. But
I just feel like everything's true that we say.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is. Well, yeah, they're right.
Yeah, they don't have to like go back. They don't have to be like, look, these guys need to chill the hell out on this because they're just totally wrong.
We have never had to redact one thing that we've said on the show.
I don't know if that's true, but we do pretty good for ourselves. But so anyway, as it stands, the way that Ken is treating this, it's hilarious because even on the live show, he referred to the incident with Grace, and then from then on referred to his girlfriend and never confirmed. Like, they just didn't even do that. So I don't know why you would spend your weekend taking pictures with this person just to come on air and not address it or act like it didn't even happen. Part of me thought, they might be messing with us, but there were times when there were pictures where it was Ken and Grace in the background, and they had no idea they were on camera, and they were still together. That's why I think that they are, but I'm talking about the solidification and the...
Okay.
What are you doing?
I said it, this is 100%, the unsuredness of this is Kristian Harloff's fault. The way that he is... like a mariachi, or is it a mariachi?
Marionette.
Pulling the strings, like an NSYNC music video.
Like a master of puppets.
I mean, just...
That's for real.
Just this tangled web
of lies.
Of lies and deceit. Everything going on is a smokescreen, and this could be an elaborate plot for the Schmoedown. I have no idea. Here's all I'm going to say about it.
It's going to lead to like a backstage kiss on air.
I am 90% sure that this is for sure a thing, but that 10% is so well, it could all be shtick. It could be a bit.
Yeah.
To what you were saying with the things going on in the background, if that is the case, this is an incredibly elaborate ruse. I mean, we're talking like researching the Zapruder film and the JFK assassination. Like, this is some hardcore,
This is bigger than landing on the moon, World War II, and everything.
Yeah, it would be like Kristian Harloff just went down a rabbit hole of J.J. Abrams.
It'd be like if Kristian Harloff said that he never liked Star Wars.
No.
And then he used it as a way to get famous.
The way I picture this is J.J. Abrams was announced to direct episode 9, and all of a sudden he was like, well, I'm going to go back, and he has a history of this, going back and researching like the background of him and getting into like the lost, all the stuff going on, like those crazy commercials they would have for Oceanic Flight 815. I'm just saying, it's like he was trying to research the ways to fuck with people.
Yeah.
And J.J. Abrams, of course, was a mastermind at doing that and extending the world. It's
such a weird thing, and obviously we're kind of obsessing over it. And even last week I was like, yeah, I don't really care that much. But it's the fact that, like, if they might not be meaning to, but they're making it a thing. They're 100% making it a thing, because what will stop it is to just come out and outright say it. So they have to be fucking with us.
What would it take for you to 100% buy in to it?
That's hard to say. I don't know. I feel like they've done everything. I think the only thing left is for someone to come out right and say yes or no because they've done everything that points.
There would still be some doubt.
Really?
That Kristian told them to say it.
Well,
a picture of a kiss.
The only doubt that I have, and the only reason why I think that it could possibly not be true, is that Ken's too good for her.
How dare you? You know,
He's too good for her.
She posted today on her Instagram that it was like a ticket for I don't know, maybe it was like a tux return or something I don't know, whatever it was. And it said, it was supposed to say Grace Knapsack, but it said Grace like Hapsock or something like that. They had misspelled it.
Napcock.
But why is she using his last name for things? That's strange to me.
Maybe they went and got fitted together, and it's like it's just like a party thing, like party of Williams, but I'm involved.
And Grace married.
Let's make this worse. That way they come out and just outright tell us if it's true or not. We can let's spread the rumor. They're married, guys. 100%.
Yeah, they got married.
They got married at Macuga's wedding. He married themselves.
Absolutely.
Because
Ken is ordained.
More
on that later. And he's an ordained minister.
There's more on that?
Yeah, I do. I have.
What else do you have?
Wait till you hear my notes. Yeah, he's ordained. He said, well, fuck it. We could do it right here.
Yeah.
Do I take this woman to be my lofted wedded wife or whatever it is?
Sure.
Yes.
He's too good for her.
That's ridiculous.
Let's get into Schmoes Know live show number, what is this? 303. You remember that band? 303?
No? Yeah, I do. Katy Perry.
What?
She had a song with them.
Oh, what? They also had some pretty popular songs as well.
Right. They were on Warped Tour together.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Yeah.
Whatever episode it is, we're going to get into Jaye Williams' stream of consciousness notes for this episode. Jay, fire away.
These are your Schmoes Know live show, stream of consciousness notes brought to you by sightsoundpod.com. What a great table. Ken dodging love life topics. I've been to Carmel. Very nice. Now that I've said that, I want to go back to California. Ken and I share a strange bond. He and I have both officiated weddings in Northern California. Confirmed, Kristian was not at Macuga's wedding. Ace, that's what weddings are for. Of course, Ace dances. Oh my God, Tom's entrance was across the cameras. I would love to go wine tasting with Finstock. Tom and I have the same job, sex playlist curator. The first film is decisive. Tom Dagnino is on fire. What is happening? Tom should be in jail. Oh my God. Oh my God. Grabbing D was a good choice. Oh, see you later, Ken. Shout out to Jennifer Love Hewitt. How in the hell do you just go get a new social security number? And that is your Schmoes Know live show. Stream conscious notes brought to you by sightsoundpod.com.
You want to know my hot take? In recent memory, this is the best non-Kristian and Mark episode.
I went into this episode a little bit bummed that it was going to be a light show. This was not just a great episode for who was or wasn't there. This was a great live show, period.
Yes.
What separates this show from it could have been pre-taped, and I still would have thought it would have been fantastic. What separates this show from the pre-tape show, in your opinion?
I think that when they do a pre-tape show,
or just any show without Mark and Kristian together.
When they do a pre-tape show, I think there's kind of less prep. I think they consciously take the time to just kind of sit back and relax and just kind of do whatever they want.
Typically only 1 hour.
They don't set up as much. It's just the one table. They have a couple people and they just are there, and then it's over just so that they could put it out, which is fine. But these people came to play, and there were also some just really funny, great moments that came out of this. One that pops out to me was how funny it was seeing RB3 and Ace pop into the camera in and out and not throughout the night, and there were just a lot of funny things like that. Cal. There were so many times I was afraid Cal was going to destroy the show because people's headphones
Were they Sight and Sound Studios?
It's just, there were a lot of, it was always interesting, and I always thought the level of discussion was just at a great high. Even with, I mean, I'm not saying that Ken can't talk movies, because he certainly can, and we know Riley and Ace can, but even when fucking Finstock came in, well, I want to talk a lot about Finstock, but I'll stay on this point. Finstock showed up. JTE held it down. Schmoes. It's just all around. It was just so good. It was just so good all around. And I genuinely believe that in recent memory, this is the best non-Mark and Kristian episode.
Two things. One, do you think we're ever going to get Joel's After Schmoe stream of consciousness notes?
No.
Okay, and the second point.
Happy birthday to her, by the way.
Oh, was her birthday?
It was last week. Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. One thing that I've picked up on or sort of noticed about, there's a difference, obviously, of a Mark and Kristian show where Mark is sort of the host and getting things going. And there's also a difference when Mark is there by himself, and there's a difference when Ken is there. I think the biggest difference from when Ken is there hosting solo and when Mark is there hosting solo, Ken often is perfectly fine pitching out the questions and the topics and just sort of pulling back and letting that person have their say, or letting the conversation go in between two people. Sometimes Mark usually has a bigger cast of characters to deal with, and I think he's more, and this is fine, it's not a big deal, it's just a different vibe of a show. He will typically let people kind of make their points and then move on to get other people's points. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You pick up on that at all? That
yeah,
Ken
definitely
sort of gave people more time to talk?
Well, I thought you were actually speaking to the fact that sometimes there's a little response and it's more about just going to the next person in line.
Yes.
Is that what you mean too as well?
Yeah, he let the whole room sort of just have he let the conversation exist and evolve to basically the point where it was done.
I think that's a less obvious thing. I don't know if there are differences. I agree, but I don't think anyone else has a particular problem. I think that
there's no problem.
The back and forth might not always be there.
Yeah.
But you don't. Sometimes you go to person A and then you just go straight to person B without responding to person A. There wasn't that, I don't think, tonight.
Riley as well. Riley essentially, I mean, if there were two people hosting the show, it was Riley and Ken. Yeah. And I think Riley did a fantastic job. Obviously, he's good every time he's on camera, but he just brings like a different, I don't know what it is about Riley. He has such a nice energy to them. Like, he's always, like, if that was me drinking that wine, I would have been asleep like halfway through. He was just so vivacious on air.
I think that there are times when we know Ken is tired. I don't think Riley ever has any of that. And I know that he's not on as much as some other people, so maybe we just don't always see
Riley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe when Riley's tired, we just don't see him and he's not on the show. But there's never a time when Riley just isn't there and bringing his A game, you know? He always fills the spot that he needs to fill, and in this particular case, he's co-hosting, and he does a great job. And while drinking wine, yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah, and this isn't a negative to some of the newer faces that have been on the show lately, like a Joel or an Emma Fife or even a Brett. But I remember when we had a similar discussion back, I don't remember when it was. It might have been when Kristian came back. It was sort of like an old cast of characters there, Finstock and JT again. I think having so many people.
Was that when Alicia was there?
No, I don't think so. No, this was a different time.
Okay.
But the thing about last night's episode is that there were so many people there who were classic Schmoes Know Show. I mean, I'm talking about Toad Hop days, even further back with somebody like Riley, who just knew what the show needed to be. Not that other people don't. It made, I think, people who had been watching the show for a long time, it made them feel more comfortable, more at home.
Definitely. That's a great point. Would we recap Schmoes Know Sports? I'm down, but I would.
our job is to recap everything Schmoes Know. So of course we would.
I would rather host Schmoes Know Sports.
Right, for sure.
But
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, the sports pool. It's a shallow pool. There's not a lot of room for new ideas. But sure, I guess so. I think that'd be cool.
well, if anyone's gonna bring new energy and life to the Schmoes Know channel, it's you and I, Jay.
Well, of course. Here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Carmel.
I do too.
Carmel, California.
This is a fascinating
I've been there.
subject.
It's a strange place.
Really?
Clint Eastwood was the mayor of there. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
He was the mayor of Carmel. I've driven through Carmel twice. Well, I guess technically 4 times because coming to and back. But every time I've driven through it, I've said to myself, "Oh, this is a place in California that I should know about." And I've always thought it's just kind of a place. It's off of the PCH. It's really no big deal. It's
It
Northern
sounds
California.
delicious. Sounds like a sweet dessert.
Let me tell you about Carmel, California. Okay, this place, I had to pee. I pulled off to pee in Carmel. Thought that it was just some small, janky town. No. This place is magical.
Rich AF. The people there.
I mean, Carmel might potentially be in and around where Big Little Lies was supposed to be set. Very rich.
Monterey.
Very, very. But, I mean, Carmel and Monterey not too far in distance from each other. I'm talking about that whole area in general.
Okay.
Regardless, this place is majestic. I only went to a shopping center, but I thought that I was in the California version of the Shire. Just everything was,
I was gonna say
amazing.
in some of the very limited things that I saw, I was like, "Is this California's Italy?"
I mean,
It's like, this is a really nice place.
for whatever reason, like I said, it is on the PCH, so it's right on the coast. And I just remember every time going there, like feeling like it was sort of dreary and overcast, but it was just magical. Trees everywhere. It
was a nice time, huh?
It was great. It was fantastic. But yes, Ken, I'm sure he did a great job officiating the wedding. My experience officiating a wedding in California, completely different. I stood surrounded by bird shit. He was at a place with the woman from Titanic and Scott Eastwood.
Yeah, what's it?
Very different. First of all, what the hell are these people doing?
Why?
Here?
Why were there celebrities at?
What?
Which is weird because I mean, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. Maybe Scott Eastwood owns
Now
that
it does.
place,
Yeah,
or something,
owns-
because Clint was the mayor.
Maybe he had to
That's
sign
very-
off on the wedding.
That's very strange. I don't know what's going on. Maybe we don't know a whole lot about Macuga's wife. Maybe
so.
she comes from a very powerful family.
I hope that Ken is listening to this right now because I legitimately
He isn't.
want to talk to him. Somebody send him this. I legitimately want to talk to him about the troubles of officiating a wedding in California because you have to pay very close attention when you're signing the documents to make sure that this gets done. It says in plain ink, do not scribble anything out. Do not mark any wrong box. I marked a wrong box when I had to sign off on a marriage license.
Yeah.
The only way for it to be corrected was for me to go back out there and do it in person. And the way it got fixed was it ended up, they had to go through some sort of weird like notoriety or is that
Notary.
Yeah, notoriety. A notary to have it all figured out. But man, it was a stressful time. I want to know if he had any issues with it.
That would have been a great heads up from you if you had done that last week.
I know. He could have asked me.
But we should have talked about the wedding last week, and I wanted to, and it just kind of fell off. But
I felt like it lasted forever. I kept seeing things about it all weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they had the rehearsal dinner the night before, so it was kind of like a weekend thing, but I was fascinated by this last week, and I'm still fascinated this week. Aside from Kristian, because we know his circumstances, I was sort of fascinated to talk about who was and was not invited, because this wedding was on the weekend. It didn't have to interrupt what was going on at Collider. I think people were able to go up there.
Was JT either?
I don't think so.
Did it shock you that Cobster was there?
No.
It didn't shock me either, but it shocked. Like obviously we don't have confirmation. It would have shocked me if Copster was there and JT wasn't there.
I think it shocks me that
maybe JTE and Macuga don't like each other.
it's
That's all we do here is
well,
perpetuate feuds.
Macuga did throw out that jab last year
About
and
being fat.
Yeah, and upset JTE. Maybe they never recovered. But
that would have been Macuga's fault, not JTE's fault.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I don't like that guy anyways.
That's what I meant. Like maybe Macuga didn't like JTE, and that's why he said it.
You
that's
heard
why
it here first. There's a feud.
Like Perry wasn't invited, and
well, of course he hates Perry.
Chris Hartwell was. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking with that one. Was Emma there? I feel like the only people from TV Talk were D. Griff and Sinead.
Was Schnepp there? I feel like
why?
John Schnepp and Josh Macuga have never interacted together on camera. I don't recall. Like,
Schnepp has been on TV Talk.
I feel like Macuga walks around and he's like, fucking nerd. What if Robert Meyer Burnett was there? Have Robert Meyer Burnett and Josh Macuga ever interacted?
I have no idea.
Was
Not
John
on camera
Campia
there? No. Which is funny because John Campia was very helpful to Macuga's career.
He went on
because Macuga.
He went on that like
Film HQ thing.
He went on that run of like Macuga's my host of Mailbag now. Remember that? Great episodes.
Was Dennis invited?
I'm sure he was. Who do you think filmed it?
I wonder who was invited and declined to go. That's a whole other conversation. Well, someone like JTE, like you said, maybe
Kristian Harlow.
Right.
There is a cold chicken or fish plate sitting at an empty table. 2.
I think that's interesting. I think that must have been an awful. I mean, that's not how I want to word it. I just think that's the most inconvenient thing that could have happened. One of Christian's best friends got married and he couldn't be there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate
because he had a daughter.
Please.
I mean, I would understand it if it was a son, but come on.
Right.
He's got a daughter. What's new? Anyway, I just thought that whole thing was fascinating.
I have 2 dogs. Can't go to your wedding. It's a new one for me.
I thought the whole wedding thing was just kind of fascinating to see who was there and who wasn't.
Would you have gone if you were invited?
No.
I hate weddings.
Absolutely not.
Please
I hate
don't
weddings.
invite me to your wedding.
I hate wedding. Well,
unless it's in California.
But think of who you're talking about here. We're talking about Macuga.
Yeah, that's different.
He might be the only guy in the office at Collider whose wedding I wouldn't go to.
That's true. Sometimes you have to pick and choose your weddings based on who's holding them because, look, some people we know, they can throw one hell of a party.
I don't care for parties.
Like, would I want to go to, do I want to go to Cody's wedding? No, not Cody Hall. No, not really. Might not be that fun. Macuga, of course. John Schnepp, fuck yes.
Oh,
Sign me up.
You're going the other way. I was making a joke about how Macuga is the one that we like the least, but you're going the other way. You think Macuga would be the wedding to go to.
100%.
But you have to drive. Well, you said it's a magical place. It happens to be. It happens to be in Scotty's Woods.
Don't you want to see the Bixby Canyon Bridge? It's not too far from there.
I would love to, but I can see it on Big Little Lies. Anyway, fascinated very much by that subject, but I hope that Macuga is having a blast in Italy with his beloved wife right now. How long before we get the baby announcement, Jay?
I don't know. I was going to say how long before we get the Master of None footage from Italy like we did in Master of None.
Yes. Very good. So I want to get to the headliner here. Finstock. I usually, anytime Finstock appears on the Schmoes Know live show, I usually just leave it at Finstock is amazing because he is.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Did Finstock, Tom Dagnino, did he steal the show?
In a way. In a way. I'm calling him the headliner, but it was interesting because
he breathed new life,
look,
that's for sure.
Here's what I'll say. It's very rare that we get Finstock's commentary on Hollywood and movies and all that. When he's there, he's mainly about Finstock. He's pushing people's buttons. He's talking about the Schmoedown. He's reacting to the produced parts of the live show. He's not there to...
He's offending people?
Yes, he's not there to talk about movies necessarily, unless it's Stallone day or whatever in Burbank. But here's one thing I don't know if I've ever touched on here. I think that, yes, Finstock is amazing. That's going to be written on my headstone. But I think what's sort of masterful is seeing how everyone else responds and interacts with him. And those are my favorite moments. Every time Ken throws a jab at him, a quick joke about the FBI, how long is it gonna take before he's arrested, and all that kind of stuff. And the way that Finstock, whenever he enters on screen, he is that to everyone surrounding him. I think everyone plays off of him so well, and that's what makes me laugh. It doesn't even have to be a big laugh. It doesn't have to be a huge joke or something that was intended to be funny, but because of how absurd that setup is, I find myself just cracking up at just them talking because I just think it's great, and that's one of those things that's just kind of one of a kind. You know,
I agree. I mean, Finstock equals ratings.
He does.
He steals shows. He brings life and energy and a different vibe. I appreciate Tom Dagnino anytime he's on screen. And look, I have a story to tell. So this past week, I hadn't seen Blade Runner since like high school, and I didn't retain any of it. Surprise, surprise. I rewatched it this past week in preparation for this movie, which I'm very excited to see. And so the production title comes on the screen. It says Alcon. And I said to myself, why is that so familiar to me? And then all of this happened. Him coming on the show. And I remember you bringing up the fact that he used to work with or for Alcon.
He was a producer or of some kind, like behind Point Break.
Right.
And they had that terrible experience. Obviously, Point Break didn't perform or whatever. And it was shortly after that where something about money. And he went on. Did you see the live show where he came on?
No.
And was just ripping Blade Runner. Because
yes, I do remember.
It's Blade Runner 2049 is produced by the same people who produced that Point Break remake.
Right.
So like a year or two ago, whenever this was announced, he absolutely ripped Alcon and Blade Runner and said that it was going to be shit, and here we are.
So he was saying all these things, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I didn't know whether to believe it or not. The fact that they really had done something shitty to him, regardless. Started digging up some things online, and I thought that people were going to find this already because Ken referenced it on the show. He's like, are you talking about this? And showed him the computer.
Yeah.
I dug up Alcon's Twitter page, and basically they had screenshotted their Rotten Tomatoes score extremely high, 98%
at the time.
Yeah. And sent it to @Bob Finstock on Twitter to rub it in his face. And I thought, first of all, I didn't see anybody else to break some news there. Posted on the Sight and Sound Facebook page. Anyways, I thought that was the most absurd thing that I had ever seen. Yes. Alcon responding to taunting Bob Finstock on Twitter.
Which it's funny because it's one thing, like, it would be absurd if Alcon was responding to something Mark Ellis or Kristian Harloff said. Because we just don't get that a lot. There are so many times when I've watched Collider and Schmoes Know, and you know how many times Schnepp is on Heroes and they've pitched something for a Nightwing movie and they turn to the camera and go, you hear that, Warner Brothers? Get on it. As if someone is actually watching them and taking notes from what the people. It's just kind of fascinating to me. I would love to know what that relationship actually is like and what studios actually do with what things like Collider says about their product. And so that's one thing, but it's also just a completely different level of absurdity when they address someone like Finstock, who isn't, a movie reviewer. He's Finstock, but yet they tweeted at him. I mean, that picture.
I would love to see a manifesto of like the people that people on Collider know. Like, for instance, on this episode, I didn't know that Riley and Ken were just friends with the guy that's the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that. Like, I mean, I probably didn't need to know it, but it's just super random. Like, oh yeah, our friend's the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. For a long time, Ken was referencing his friend that was writing a Star Wars novel. Now that's come out that she wrote a Leia novel. And it's just like, man, I'd love, not that anybody really cares.
He's friends with Claudia Gray?
Somebody, I don't know who it is. They talked about it on Jedi Council.
I must have missed that.
And man, it's just like nobody really needs to know that information, but it would be fascinating just because every time it comes up, I'm like, huh, that's
makes
cool.
me wonder if I was in LA who I would be friends with.
Exactly.
Could
our careers be further along if we were in LA? The answer is yes, 100%.
Could I be friends with Josh Hutcherson?
Gas up the jet. You're already friends with Freddie Prinze Jr.
That's true. I feel like me and Josh Hutcherson would get along. We're about the same height, about the same age. We're both from Kentucky. We're big UK fans. I feel like I could do pretty well.
Yeah. You like that?
Yeah. So, anyway, you posed this question to me privately off air. You were wondering how real it is,
right.
This tweet. I think it's a very real thing. And I think that sometimes you can't always figure out what's real and what's not.
They tried to brush it off at the end of the episode. He's like, we're all good.
Yeah, I think that's an actual thing, and I think that they were playing it up for comedic purposes. I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I absolutely believe to some degree that they tried to pursue him legally because he did rip them. And, again, there's the behind-the-scenes aspect of it that we don't even know about, something about money and why he no longer works there or whatever. So all that's pretty interesting. So what I was going to say to respond to the fact that you called he stole the show, at first, I was cracking up because I just thought he was being salty.
Right.
And part of me was a little bit irritated by that. And I think that it only felt salty because this was actually so personal. But also what he's doing, and Ken addressed this, he's also going back to his roots. And I wish that JTE was there for more of this. They were reliving their box office breakdown days.
Right.
And so they were actually talking about what Finstock knows very well, which is breaking down box office. So that's why he kept bringing up that money point, and that's why he was there for that. So why you keep looking at my computer?
I was just making sure I was working. Sorry. Look, I think I'm sort of going the opposite way from you, regardless of if it was real or not. I thought it was hilarious. It was hilarious to me that the one guy in the room that was going to have some negativity about the situation with Blade Runner, the fact that it was going to be Finstock, this movie that has all this artistry behind it and the divisiveness or the decisiveness, as JT would say, that was going on with the film was really purely down to people who, I mean, let's just put it out there. I don't like it as much as you do, but the big thing is people would say, oh, you just didn't get it. And that's a very pretentious thing to say. It's a relatively pretentious movie. Let's just be honest. It kind of is. And the fact that the guy that represents like the Stallone movies, the action movie guy, the gangster movie guy, mob movie, he's just like, nah, fuck this movie. It's hilarious.
I'm also very fascinated by the paid reviews thing, because that's not something I even heard about. I feel like that's died down a lot.
That's why you need Finstock, because that is a common person statement. Like,
yeah,
and people can think about it what they want, but people are just paying for these good reviews. You guys are paid off by Marvel, stuff like that.
Right. So what would Blade Runner be like if it was directed by Dennis Zhang?
Blade Runner? Would look good.
You think Dennis would be seen crawling behind in the background, like in comic book shop?
Yeah, but I think the bigger question is Dennis Zhang a replicant or not?
100%.
It would only make sense.
I also thought it was cool Finstock worked on Prisoners.
Is that true? Are we supposed to believe that?
He said he worked. I assume so. I mean, why wouldn't that be true? I believe that. He's the one person there that actually works in the business.
Right.
Aside from Collider, Screen Junkies, or whatever else.
Right.
Also saw that Clark Wolf is doing some stuff for Stardust. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
If
Makes
she
sense.
was on,
She's quite lovely.
yeah, I scrolled through Stardust's Instagram, and she was hosting some of their videos. So
That's
I thought
awesome.
that was
Speaking
pretty
of lovely, I meant to drop this in. I can drop it here, but I
Max.
meant to drop it in the Collider portion. The title for Collider Crush, even though they're not 100% affiliated with Collider, it's been taken away from Perry. Sorry, Perry. I have a new love in my life. It's Ash Crossan. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
She's quite lovely. Very humorous individual.
You know, I tweeted at her once.
Oh, yeah? How'd that go for you?
She didn't respond.
Of course you didn't. She doesn't have time for you. She's very lovely, though. I appreciate her quite a bit. I follow her now on Twitter and Instagram.
You think she'll be on Jedi Council? It's about to come on here in about 10 minutes.
It's up right now.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
No, she's not, because she's at New York Comic Con.
That's right.
Because I follow her on Instagram.
All right. Well, very good.
Yeah.
I think have we wrapped up? Let me just say, Schmoes Choice is, for whatever reason, the simplest thing.
Well, yeah.
But it's easily the most entertaining thing. That it's the best way for the fans to actually like sort of engage and actually do what they're doing and thinking about Cobra or Commando. Like, it's the simplest thing. It's the smallest thing.
Do you want to play real Schmoes Choice right now? But with the Schmoes?
I was gonna say, I think we've done this before.
Who would you rather have?
Me and Brian Davids.
Beardo or Cody Hall?
Cody Hall.
Ken or Mark?
Which Mark?
Riley.
That's really, really hard. That's very difficult. I'm gonna go with Riley.
Ace or RB3?
Ace.
Finstock or Kristian?
I don't think RB3 likes me.
Finstock or Kristian?
Finstock.
Perry or Copster?
Perry.
Really? Who's gonna upload our podcast?
Copster doesn't do that.
Can Perry upload the podcast in those Perry pants?
I'm sure she can. Copster doesn't upload our podcast, as far as I know.
Dennis or that guy that was filming
Perry's
vlog. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
No, you didn't answer. Oh, was that your answer? That guy?
Yeah, that was part of
Wait, now I have to think of another one.
That was part of the joke.
Robert Meyer Burnett or John Schnepp?
Jesus. What kind of scenario? Like, what? You got to give me the hypothetical.
No, I don't.
Which person do I want removed off the planet is how Schmoes Choice is played.
Sure.
I'm picking not to be removed. This is who the winner is Robert Meyer Burnett.
David Griffin or Cal?
David Griffin.
Okay. You don't care about Cal?
Cal's almost dead anyway.
We don't know that for sure.
He's an old dog. That's one of those things. That's one of those things that I've just spouted one day and no one ever corrected me. So I'm going to continue to believe that it's true. He looks like an old dog.
Fair enough. Max or one of the pictures behind the wall.
Behind the wall.
Okay, that's enough.
Very good. I said that we were approaching the end of the show, and then you looked at me like I was crazy. Am I missing something here?
Well, I was just going to say, I think the last thing to talk about was I loved the implementation of the wangers. I mean, they were all over Beardo, and they wanted more Cody Hall, and they just didn't get him. I thought Ace and RB3, again, I mean, talking about stealing the show, I thought they were fantastic. And, man, Ace is Ace's indie picks, love them. I love
Yeah.
Not that I didn't love them in other iterations, but I'm glad that they're back. I'm glad that he's doing them. Yeah, man, just really, really enjoyed this episode.
So when it comes to Collider personalities that have been on Sight and Sound, we have Roca, Ellis, Chris Hartwell. We have Miss Movies. And I'm calling the Collider people, but obviously some of those people don't actually work there, but they're there. Is it true that we will be joined by Kristian Rubalcaba on Sight and Sound very soon?
It's he wants to do it. I reached out to him, asked if he wanted to come on and do a music show, music episode to sort of talk about his love and passion for music, just in general. Obviously, he dances, which I found out. That surprised me. But also his love and passion for heavy music, aggressive music, metal, whatnot. That should be happening, I guess, when they get back from Comic-Con. We need to nail that down. But yeah.
Nothing illustrates my relationships with Collider and Schmoes Know and your relationships with the personalities over there more than this story. You message Copster. He immediately says, I'm coming on Sight and Sound. We've got him. There you go.
Right.
I message Cody Hall. Hey, do you think some of you guys would want to join a fantasy basketball league with me? No response.
Right. Look, I think this comes down to reaching across. So I'm bringing the movie people into the music space. I think you need to reach out to the guitar player from Gwen Stacy, get him on to talk about movies. You can reach out to, what's his name? Ryan or Don, the dude from Demon Hunter, who is a fan of
I don't care
Collider.
about those people.
They can help out Sight and Sound.
Oh, very good. Okay, let's use them. Anyway, that about does it for us here on After Schmoe.
I want to know more famous people that like Collider and Schmoes and send them our way because I guarantee you Kristian doesn't care. Unless they're like obviously big famous or huge people, that's different. But if there's like a punk band or whatever.
Do you not remember how enamored and aroused they were by Cody Miller?
Yeah, that's different. He was on TV with the Olympics.
He was a child.
The Olympics were hot right now. Where is he today? No one knows.
He just got married.
Oh, did he really? Well,
yeah,
congratulations.
he had a Harry Potter wedding.
Congratulations.
Okay. My name is Ryan Snelling. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WhatUpSnell. Sight and Sound plug yet again. Please check out the Sight and Sound podcast feed where you can get our weekly episode, our movies, music, TV episodes. We're about to start recapping Mr. Robot. That starts Wednesday, I think.
At 10 o'clock.
We're going to have to record late.
To figure that out.
Yeah, we need to figure that out. So yeah, we're going to recap Mr. Robot, but that's not the only thing. We have a ton of shows going on. Just at the one podcast feed. Also check out the Sight and Sound YouTube channel where all of those podcasts go, but we also put up videos like my video ripping Blade Runner and Jay's review of American Vandal, which you just put up. And yeah, we're also releasing, I don't know if people care, but we're also releasing original music on the YouTube channel now because we want Sight and Sound to be a record label.
Lots of cool stuff coming down the pipe. I mean, a lot of just look, our shows are structured similar to places that you can find any other place, but we're starting to develop content. It's a little bit more original, things that you really can't find anywhere else, I don't think. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
The future is bright.
That's right. It's because we just had our first birthday. We're maturing.
Now we're anxious because we don't know what to do now. Actually, we do.
Yeah. So definitely check that out. And that's me. What else, Jay?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E. It's the same for both. I want to give a shout out real quick to Parker Campbell. If you guys want to check out Sight and Sound, I do a music show there every single Friday. Parker claims that it is like movie talk for music for him. And I just have to, that is what a great comment. He also said, I think you guys work best just like the Schmoes. So if you like Schmoes Know, you're going to like Sight and Sound. Come on over.
Wait, what's the first part of that
You want to read the whole comment? He says, I think you guys work best just like the Schmoes, where topics may help give you guys stuff to talk about, but you guys aren't contained only in those topics.
Oh, yes.
But that being said, I love your opinions.
Yeah, without that context, I didn't think that made any sense. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you did that.
So shout out to you, Parker Campbell. Yeah, thank you guys so much. We love you. Buy our shirts. We just released some new shirts.
It's lit. We out here.
Bye.